Welcome back, fight fans, to another episode of The Coach and the Kid. I, of course, am the Kid, joined as always by my co-host, The Coach. And we are back in the UFC Apex for a bantamweight bout between two top 15 contenders. Mario Bautista takes on the streaking Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira. But before we get into that six-fight main card, Coach, we are coming off of a great card in Australia. Alexander Volkanovski retains the belt in his rematch against Diego Lopez. Coach, how did you feel about that?
Pretty fun night. Yeah, overall the card was okay. I'd say it was a B minus, but I'm glad Volk retained his. I was kind of hoping he would retire. Lopez, I like Lopez, but man, he just sucked. I don't even know what he was doing. He had no game plan, and Volk looked like Marab. He was dancing all over the place, and once again, it's just like the last fight. We come away going, okay, Lopez has a good chin, and he didn't really do anything. A little disappointed about that, but he Volk made himself hard to hit. So I mean, good for him. He's awesome.
I agree, Coach. From Sydney, Australia, we move to the friendly confines of the UFC Apex. And, Coach, this is the first Apex card of the Paramount Plus era. And while these cards don't always look great on paper, they usually tend to deliver in fan friendly style. So let's get right into it, Coach, with a 205-pound bout. To open up the card at the Apex, we have Julius Juicebox Walker taking on Dustin Jacoby. Coach, I usually lead off these videos, so I'll let you lead off. Where are you going here with Jacoby versus Walker?
Well, as you can see from the record, Jacoby's got a lot of experience, and he's a hard hitter, but he's a little old. He's 37. Julius Walker is a really good athlete, but I just don't think he's seasoned enough. And I think that Jacoby, frankly, is going to walk him. I mean, Julius is going to try to walk him down, and I think Jacoby's going to knock him out. I really do. He's pretty strong, and let me just a little sidebar here. I like the Apex a lot. You feel like you're right there, and it's kind of that's the thing about these big events. They're exciting, but the Apex, man, you're just sitting right there. I'm interested to see how Paramount's going to film these. I imagine it'll be the same way, but I like the fact that you can hear all the smacking and all the talking from the coaches is cool. But I got Jacoby on this one. I just think he's a well seasoned guy.
Yeah, Coach, I think that's a great pick. I've been going back and forth on this fight. Like you said, Julius Walker is going to be the much better athlete in this matchup. I think this is kind of contingent on whether Jacoby can hang in the grappling and whether his chin is still there. We've seen him get knocked out by Dominic Reyes and a few other guys. But people forget that this guy's a really high level kickboxer. He was in glory. He fought against guys like Alex Pereira, these really high level kickboxers. He has that same pedigree. So I think you're right, Coach. I think Julius Walker does not have the experience that Jacoby has. If the chin can hang in on the 37-year-old, I think he catches Julius Walker coming in, either with an uppercut or a knee, and finishes him in the second round. I'm going to go Dustin Jacoby by second round TKO. I think Julius Walker is a solid prospect at 205. He had a close, really good fight against Alonzo Menafield on short notice, and then he got a win in his last matchup, Coach. But I think this is a little bit too much, too soon for Dustin Jacoby. For Julius Walker. Dustin Jacoby was a guy who was fringe top 15 for years. I think this guy's a great gatekeeper. It's what they call a litmus test, like we talked about last week for Quillen Salkid. It's the same thing here for Julius Walker. I just don't think he's ready for a guy like Jacoby that has such a striking pedigree.
But he's only 26, so he's got plenty of time. I feel like a lot of these guys, by the time they're 30, they've kind of got it together. So 26 is pretty young. So yeah, but I got to go with Dustin Jacoby. What do we got next, kid?
I agree, Coach. Let's move on up the card. A rare six-fight main card at the Apex. We have Gene Matsumoto taking on Farid Basharat. Coach, I'm really high on Gene Matsumoto. I think Farid Basharat is a little bit overrated. People see the record and they're prone to bet or pick him because of that 14-0 unblemished record. But I don't see it. His striking is really average. His striking is, to me, C-level. He has some good grappling. That's what you get when you come from these regions where grappling heavy is the style. But I like Gene Matsumoto, a rare combination of Japanese striking and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's young. He's 26 years old. I think he's coming into his own. He fought Rob Font on short notice, and I really like his game, Coach. I think Gene Matsumoto is going to take a decision here on the account that he's more busy off of his back if he does get taken down. I think that's going to be the whole game plan for Basharat. He's a guy that wants to take you down and control you. He's not necessarily a big damage guy on the ground. I think Gene Matsumoto is going to be the guy that is major more damaging in the shots, on the feet, and on the ground. That's what I like about him here. Damage is the number one criteria in MMA, and I think Gene Matsumoto is the more dangerous guy in all facets of mixed martial arts, Coach. I'm going to go Matsumoto by decision. That's my underdog pick of the week.
Okay, well, I like him too. He's a good striker. He's a pressure fighter. He's had some good fights. Like you said, he lost to Rob Font, but that's nothing to be sad about because I like Font. He's a hell of a fighter. However, I feel like Basharat is the smartest of the Basharat brothers, and he's got a solid ground game. He beat Gutierrez, as you probably remember. He's got a really good fight IQ, and he is the best of the bros. And I think he's gonna beat Matsumoto in third round submission. That's my take.
Coach, we're on two opposite ends of this great 135-pound tilt between two of the top prospects in this division. I'm not sure I like the matchmaking just because both guys are on such a trajectory towards the top 15. Maybe you can make this fight a little bit later in their careers, but nonetheless, a great matchup to kind of, I mean, I think the guy that wins this fight is on a trend towards the top 15, and you start looking at giving him names at the back half of the top 15. Maybe a Kyler Phillips. I know, like I said, Matsumoto just fought Rob Font, but maybe if Basharat wins here, he gets a Rob Font test or somebody of that nature, Coach. We're on opposite ends. Let's go to our next fight. Another really solid matchup between two guys looking to get towards that top 15 ranking. We have Mikhail Olejniczak taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Coach, I took the lead on the last fight. Where are you going with this one?
I like Mike Olejniczak. Maybe I'm butchering that name, but I think he throws big shots. I see him winning in the second round of the KO, and his boxing will win it. And I feel like Marc-Andre is he's too up and down. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with him. So I gotta go with Mike. I call him Mike because we've been hanging out a lot together lately. Good guy, and I think he's going to win. I think he's going to knock him out, and I think it's going to be the banger of the night. I think these guys are going to go toe to toe. I really do, and I'm kind of excited about this fight, frankly. Go ahead, kid.
I think it's a great call, Coach. I think both guys are prone to war. We've seen Barriault go to war in almost every fight. To be honest with you, I think that's why he's still signed to the UFC. You see that 17-10 Nate Diaz-esque record. He brings the fight to a lot of guys that are on the up-and-coming route. We saw him last fight against Shara Magomedov. I mean, both of these guys have losses to Shara Magomedov, but Marc-Andre Barriault hit him early and often in that fight. He ended up losing, but this is a guy that will take one to give one, and he is powerful. They call him Power Bar. But, Coach, I think the way that Mikhail Olejniczak's career is trending, for me, I think that momentum is just so good. He's been training with the Fighting Nerds out in Brazil. He's moved his home base from Poland to Brazil, training with a bunch of high-level guys, Caio Bahaio, Carlos Prates. When you have guys like that in your room, you have no choice but to get better. So, Coach, for me, I actually think Mikhail Olejniczak is going to choose the path of least resistance, which for me is grappling. I think he submits him in the first round. I think Power Bar is very apt to get hit, doesn't move his head a lot, and that's dangerous in the pocket. But with a power striker like Olejniczak, I can see him kind of clubbing and subbing him, knocking him down, pulling a guillotine, getting a rear naked choke, something of that nature, Coach. I think he goes to the ground and ends up submitting Marc-Andre Barriault. For me, Olejniczak wins here by submission.
Okay, cool.
Let's move on, Coach, to our fourth fight of the night, a heavyweight tilt between Jalton Mahachinho Almeida and Rizvan Kuniev. Coach, I'll take the lead here. I think Jalton Almeida is going to get this one done. He takes this fight on short notice. To me, that tells me this is a confident fight to take. You don't take a fight on short notice that's a non-title fight to a guy ranked lower than you if you don't think you can beat him and pick up a paycheck. Coach, Jalton Almeida is going to have the lighter man skill here. He was a 205-pounder. I think he should have stayed at that weight. He looked incredible at that weight, and there's not a lot of talented grapplers in that light heavyweight division, but nonetheless kind of marks it as a lazy move for me, like he doesn't love to cut weight. He fights at his natural weight, which is about 237. but this guy is an incredible grappler. He wants to put the pressure on you. He's going to grapple you from minute one in that octagon. We've seen it have great effect, like some of his fights against Derek Lewis, and we've seen it kind of backfire where he fought Curtis Blades and was in on the takedown and ended up getting elbowed into a TKO. But coach, I think the grappling is a lot better on the side of Almeida. Rizvan is a drug cheat. I think both of these guys were robbed out of their last fight. I think Almeida beat Alexander Volkov, and I think Kuniev beat Blades. So you can take what you want from those last 5 records, Almeida being 3-2 and Kuniev being 3-1-1. That one, by the way, was overturned because he popped for steroids. Not saying he's on it here, but Kuniev is going to be the slower man. He's going to be the bigger man. Almeida's going to have the better grappling, and I think he's going to have a little bit better stand-up. I mean, Almeida's stand-up isn't great, but Kuniev's kind of a plotter. He's not going to be one of these heavyweights like you see with Aspinall or even a Waldo Cortez Acosta, where they're a little bit more light on their feet. They're going to be in and out of the pocket. Almeida's going to have his chances to shoot a takedown here. Kuniev will not be hard to find. He is a slow, plodding heavyweight. So for me, coach, give me Jailton Almeida by second-round TKO from ground and pound.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping this isn't going to be your typical 2 lard asses in the ring, because I'm telling you, I'm getting really sick of the heavyweights. They're starting to look like, those big sumo wrestler guys that just kind of plod around, and I'm tired of it, frankly. And Almeida's got okay striking. He tends to get tired a lot because he's heavy. He's a boring fighter. He's a wrestler. He likes to lay on guys. I hate those fighters, man. And that's why I think the other guy's going to knock him out. I think he's going to take him out. It's going to be another one of these lame heavyweight fights. Almeida he's boring, and he does like to grapple because I think he's lazy. He gets on top of these guys and lays on them and wins by submission, or by time that he's held a guy down. And Kuniev, I think his path to victory is just a knockout. He's a pretty strong guy. I like his striking, but honestly, I wish they would just ban heavyweights because they haven't had any good heavyweight fights lately. If you watch, I mean, like we were talking about the last fights, you had a couple of heavyweights that just looked like a couple of drunks. And to me, it's like, come on, you guys, cut the weight, get in there, train a little bit, but they just depend on the knockout power. And anyway, I think Kuniev's going to beat this guy with a knockout.
Yeah, luckily for Almeida, this isn't the ultimate excitement championship, coach. I agree. He is one of the more boring fighters on the roster. And to your point, I think more than half of heavyweight could probably cut to 205. They just don't want to. Thing with Almeida is he does probably bring one of the best physiques in at 265-pound limit. At heavyweight, he always looks great. He brings a great physique, but he does have some gas tank problems, especially because takedowns are super, super heavy on the gas tank, and he shoots a lot of them. That's what makes Merab so impressive. He can shoot over and over and over again. Not going to be the same thing here with Almeida. I don't think there's going to be a ton of resistance in the grappling. I think Almeida is going to get it done and look to be a little bit more exciting. Maybe stay on the feet a little bit longer, just because I think that grappling heavy style lost him his last fight. Damage, like I said, is the primary criteria in MMA, and he doesn't do a ton of it. He controls a lot, but he doesn't damage a lot. I think that's going to be a priority in this fight as he looks to get it done early, coach. I'm going to go with Almeida. You're going with Kuniev. Let's move to the co-main event. Coach, what may be a very boring fight moves into one of the most exciting fights you can make at the 125-pound limit. We have Kyoji Horiguchi taking on Amir Albazi. Coach, I am super excited to talk about this one. I'm going to take the lead once again on this fight. I'm going to go right off the bat. I'm going to go with Horiguchi. I did not think this guy would look so good against Tagir Ulanbekov, a bigger man. Ulanbekov is a guy that has trouble making this weight, has missed weight a few times. He is a huge 125-pounder. And to me, Horiguchi made that look easy. He ran right through him, both in the grappling and in the striking. This guy is a lightning rod. And you see the record, 35-5, both in the UFC and Rizin, fought in Bellator, been a champion there, fought in Japan, has had great bouts in the UFC. He's fought the who's who of the 125-pound division. Fought guys like Demetrius Johnson, all the legends you can think of at 125, this guy has fought, and I think he's on a trajectory to fight another one in Alexandre Pantoja later in the year. Horiguchi, to me, is a top 5, maybe even a top 3 talent, even though he is getting up there in age at 35. He comes from a great camp. He trains in Florida with Pantoja. He has some of the best bodies in the world that you can get as far as sparring partners go. And I just don't see many holes in this guy's game. I mean, he got chinned by Sergio Pettis in Bellator. That's one of his only losses in the last 3 or 4 years. And that was just kind of a fluke, a little spinning back fist from the smaller Pettis brother in a fight that Horiguchi was controlling for the majority of it. Coach, to me, Albazi is a guy who wants to control you. I think he should be 3-2 in his last 5. I don't think he beat Kai Kara France. We watched that fight together and we were both thinking, did he really win that fight? I just don't think so. I don't see a high level of striking with Amir Albazi. His grappling is pretty good. I would say it's B tier. But to me, Horiguchi brings the pressure right off of the bat. Striking is elite. Grappling can hang with anyone in the world. And for me, coach, I think Horiguchi pressures him and gets him out of there the same way that he did Ulanbekov. Give me Horiguchi by 3rd round TKO.
Well, you, in my mind, you're 100% right. Horiguchi is fast. He is an elite striker, and he's had a number of fights where he's looked great. And this dude can do it all. He really is a well-rounded fighter, but his striking is elite. And I think this might be a pretty good fight. I think it might be a banger. Albazi is pretty good at everything too, but he doesn't want to get in a firefight with Horiguchi because I just think he's one of the fastest guys I've seen, and I like everything about him. And I can't wait to watch this fight. Actually, I think this is going to be like my favorite fight of the night. Hopefully, it could be fight of the night, but I think Horiguchi takes him out too. I think he will knock him out, and I think it will. I think it's going to go 3 rounds, but I think he'll finally tag him. So I'm going with Horiguchi too, and I haven't seen him fight in a while, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I agree, coach. I think Horiguchi is going to land that shot. I think Albazi is going to be reluctant to exchange with Horiguchi, so I think he's going to be wanting to shoot the takedown early. I think Horiguchi is well equipped. He's fought guys that have wanted to take him down. I think Albazi's super tough. This guy can take a shot. But that fight against Brandon Moreno, there was a ton of accumulated damage. Albazi's face was messed up after that fight. He ended up taking almost 2 years off. To me, that's not a great sign. There are mental refreshes, and there are times when you just hit the wall and think, the upper echelon of the division just beat me up for 25 minutes. I hung in there, which is a good sign, but I didn't love that damage that I took. If a guy takes a year off for me, coach, it's a great reset. It's a nice little mental reset. Collect yourself, get back into the game. But upwards of 2 years off for me is a confidence issue. And for me, I think Horiguchi is riding the momentum of that Ulanbekov. It wasn't just a win, coach. It was a domination over one of the Khabib Nurmagomedov school's top prospects, per se. We've been waiting for Ulanbekov to break into the top 10 for a while now, and Horiguchi made him look like an absolute amateur. I think that confidence alone is paired with the elite level striking that you were talking about, coach. Gets Horiguchi the win here. He's going to be the faster man. He's going to beat Albazi to the punch. And for me, that's going to be enough to get the victory.
Yep, I agree.
We are in agreement there, coach. And I think we will be on this fight as well. A banger of a 135-pound tilt in the main event. The 25-minute debut of Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira taking on the ever-game Mario Bautista. Coach, I've taken the lead on the last 2. Hit me with your prediction here. Break it down. What are you thinking?
I'm going with Bautista. I don't know who you're going with, but he's on a win streak. He's a great bantamweight, and he's got great cardio, and he's got good submission skills. I don't think Vinny Oliveira has the gas to go 5 rounds. I really don't, and I think he's going to get tired. The hand's going to start dropping. Mario is really well rounded. I think Mario gets it done. I think with his cardio, if you've got great cardio, you've got an advantage in a 5-rounder all day, unless Vinny just knocks him out. But I don't see that happening, and I don't see Bautista knocking him out either. These light guys are not big bangers. So I think Bautista gets it done though. I'm thinking he wins it in 5 rounds, and I think it'll be a good fight. I think it'll be technically a very good fight. But I think Oliveira's going to gas out. So I'm giving the check to Bautista.
Yeah, coach, I think you broke it down brilliantly. The thing about Oliveira is he's a very tough puzzle to figure out because you said his hands are going to drop, but his hands are dropped always. He fights with his hands down by his side, which creates angles that guys are not used to. Uppercuts are coming from his hip, jabs are coming from his hip. These guys in the training room are not used to that. You're taught by your coaches, keep your hands up. That's the number one rule of fighting. Oliveira does the exact opposite, and it makes him a very dangerous finisher because he is super durable. That being said, coach, I think you hit the nail right on the head. We've seen Oliveira gas out in the first 2 rounds of 3 rounders. So how is this guy going to manage his gas tank over 25? The thing is, I think there are one of two outcomes as far as that goes. I think either he blows his wad in the first 2 and Bautista takes over in the last 3, including the championship rounds, or Oliveira manages his gas tank too well, almost like Diego Lopez in that first Volk fight, and drops rounds early and then can't recover because he needs a finish. To me, Bautista has shed that label of being a boring fighter after some controversial decisions over Jose Aldo. And I think he looked great, even though it was a loss in that Umar Nurmagomedov fight. I think this guy has great cardio, like you said, coach. I think the striking has improved. The grappling and clinch work has looked great from Bautista. Oliveira is huge. I've seen publications come out and interviews where he said he is cutting 30 to 35 pounds in 1 week to make this bantamweight limit. Coach, for me, at some point, that is just not going to work out, especially against a high-level guy like Bautista. Like I said, he's either going to blow his wad early or he's going to manage his gas tank too much. I mean, that is a thing. Dropping the first 3 rounds because you're worried about the championship rounds is ever common, especially in debuts over 25 minutes. Coach, I think Bautista is the more well-rounded fighter. Oliveira's best shot to get it done is within the first 2 rounds because he is one of the most dangerous men on the planet in that opening round. We've seen him run through guys in the last couple years. Unprecedented run into the top 10 at 135. Great win over Kyler Phillips, who also has gas tank issues. In the 3rd round, both of those guys were dropping their hands. I just don't see Bautista getting tired here. He's a workhorse. He's fought everyone in the division. He looked great against Umar, even in a loss. That's a stock-raising loss. I mean, who really beats Umar other than Merab? And even that was a 3-2 fight. A super close fight where Umar won the first 2 rounds. Bautista, consummate professional. You'll never see this guy missing weight. Great cardio, really solid striking, which he's improved upon. I'm going to have to agree with everything you said, coach, but I think Bautista can put the pressure on in the 3rd and 4th and break him by TKO.
Yeah, I agree. And imagine, first of all, you gotta make a big cut, and then you've got 5 rounds. I mean, that's
yeah.
It's tough enough to make the cut, but then to go 5 rounds,
especially when you've never done it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, how do you train for that? I mean, you can, it's one thing to train for something. It's another thing to be in there, in a real fight. And the only saving grace is, it just seems like, I mean, a fight's a fight, but it's different when you're in a stadium as opposed to the Apex. It just seems like sometimes these huge fights, it can be overwhelming for some of these guys. And I would think it would be more comfortable being in the Apex. It's kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of small and intimate. I love the fights at the Apex. I think sometimes those gigantic numbered fights, they're almost hard to watch because it gets to be too much for your senses and it's hard to lock in. Does that make sense?
100%. And I also, not to cut you off, coach, but I also think there's so much hype behind the numbered events that when they aren't an incredible elite Hall of Fame level fight, it's almost like a disappointment. And when you go into the Apex and you're expecting, for example, the first fight I can think off the top of my head, Hooker versus Poirier. Yeah, that's a good fight. You put it on a numbered card. Obviously, it's an elite fight, but you put it in the Apex. You can hear every single shot ringing out. You can hear the coaches in the corners, and that becomes a Hall of Fame level fight, coach. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's underrated, and it turns these fights that could be okay because the fan expectation is whatever, because obviously you're not going to put your names in the Apex. You know what I mean? You're not going to put McGregor, Gaethje, Poirier, guys like that in the Apex very often. But these guys are fighting for the rankings. They're fighting for a new contract. They're fighting for recognition. This is a huge spot for a lot of these guys, coach, and I think the Apex is severely underrated.
Well, it's you and I are big sports guys, and we've been to minor league baseball games and tennis tournaments that are qualifiers. man, when you get to sit that close, because let's be honest, when you go to a numbered event, how close are you going to get?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I agree.
In the Apex, you're sitting right behind the coaches, man. You can hear everything.
It's very intimate.
If you're squeamish, man, don't go to the Apex, because when you hear those guys socking each other, it almost, if you can't hang, man, you got to get the hell out.
Oh yeah, and that's the ironic part about the Apex viewing is majority of it is family and friends. So it's not
I know.
hardcore fight fans. So these guys are literally watching some of their best buddies and family members getting pounded in there. The only thing I don't like about the Apex is you're missing the crowd in terms of the energy that it brings to both the fighters and the event as a whole. But like you said, I think the intimacy of the Apex and the quality of fights almost raises itself because these guys are trying to get out of the Apex. Like you said, it's almost like a minor league baseball event. Obviously, you're not going to be dogging it or you're not going to get called up to the big leagues. You're not going to get that contract.
Right.
And the thing is with these guys, they all want to fight in front of a crowd. But the only way to get on these numbered cards is to perform when the lights are brightest under the Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, coach. I think it's shaping up to be a very underrated card. Like I said, a lot of very solid names, not necessarily a great card in terms of name value, but in terms of the matchup quality, I mean, we've got Kyoji Horiguchi in the co-main event taking on Amir Albazi, two top 5 level talents in that 125-pound division, and then 2 up-and-comers in the main event with Vinicius Oliveira finally getting his main event shot against Mario Bautista. Those 2 fights alone, coach, are enough to carry this main card.
Yeah, we got to go to Vegas someday and go to the Apex, because, I mean, it's pretty exciting. And when you see this stuff live, like you went to Miami and watched both the last time.
Yeah.
And you guys had good seats too, man. So I mean, you need to go to the Apex, and then you can really, because we, like I said, it's like going to minor leagues. But if you go to a minor league game, you see great baseball. You're just seeing these guys trying so hard. It's like the reason why we watch college basketball, the March Madness, and the baseball, the College World Series. It's like guys are trying to get the next level, so they're really giving it everything. That's what's fun about it.
100%, coach. Careers and lives are changed in the Apex. That's why it's such a great foundation for the sport. If Dana White is somehow watching this and made his way to the end of this 35-minute video, we should have put this in the beginning, coach, because he's probably not watching past the first 45 seconds. But if you see this, Dana, hook us up with some tickets. We'll take care of the flight. Get us some tickets into the Apex. We don't care who it is. We don't care when it is. Get us some tickets. We'll be there. The coach and the kid, once again, fight fans, thank you so much for watching. We are BUDGE MMA, and we're out.
Hey, subscribe, baby.
Subscribe, comment, tell us what you'd like to see next. We're going to be doing fight predictions every weekend. There is a fight, but we're also going to expand a little bit, do some maybe documentaries on some of these fighters, some fighter interviews. If you want to see a fighter interviewed, obviously we're not going to be able to get the upper echelon of these guys, but we can definitely get some up-and-comers. We would love to put them on the channel, get them some more exposure, and just kind of give the backstory on some of these fighters. These guys are humans too. They love stuff just like we do. We have our interests, we have our hobbies, and they do too, coach. Let's get some fighter interviews. Let's get some interesting personalities here, and let's bring light to some of these gladiators. Coach, it's been a great week. Once again, we'll be back next week, but for now, it is Vinicius Oliveira taking on Mario Bautista. And coach, we're out.
Good night, kids.
Let's go, fight fans. Love you, coach.